and the previous location where he came from.
What specifically?
I think
that's
actually
for
kind
you
of
to answer.
elaborate. I think what he's referring to is the two internal affairs investigations that were at the former department before he got hired here. You knew about those.
Okay, that's great. What they're referring to is Lee Coel and his former background before he got to our police department. And I can speak on that. Lee Coel was formerly hired at the Miramar Police Department before he came here. They separated employment prior to him finishing his probation, prior to him finishing his first year of employment there. There were two internal affairs investigations. Both of them were use of force based. In both of those internal affairs investigations, he was not found guilty or sustained of any type of use of force violation. He was, however, found guilty or sustained of some minor policy violations. Yes, we did know about that. When you take a look at his background, some folks will highlight only those internal affairs investigations. I will tell you, when you look at everything, there were, I believe, 10 letters of recommendation from members of the Miramar Police Department that also came with his background investigation, to include someone in the rank of captain. I'm also aware that the chief of the Miramar Police Department had contact with our chief prior to any hiring decision being made on him. So, yes, there were internal affairs investigations, without question. And yes, they were based on things that could be concerning. But we looked at the totality of his application and background prior to any hiring decisions. Does that answer your question?
Not specifically. I specifically asked you if any internal warnings came from employees of the police department.
Does anybody else have a different question?
I have a different.
Are you saying you never got a call from any citizen in this community concerned about the level of aggression that Officer Coel was showing? Did you ever get a call from somebody at Dean's?
I don't, maybe, I don't know.
Suggesting that after Officer Coel came here in response to a call, that she didn't want to see him there again because he had the guy on the floor and was overly aggressive? You don't recall that?
Not specifically, Mike. I mean, could that have happened? Sure. Yeah, sure, that could have happened. If there is a complaint filed, you guys know that we are an accredited agency. If somebody wants to file a formal complaint, we will investigate that through IA and come through findings, without question. We don't hide from criticism. I would like to think that today is the very center of that visually. I was asked by numerous people in the community as to whether or not we were going to cancel coffee with the chief today. Here's my true opinion. I think it's really horrible if I'm going to claim to have a community program that promotes transparency and communication, and then the first time it gets a little tough, I'm going to cancel.
You did not hire Lee Coel?
I'm sorry?
You did not hire Lee Coel?
No, I did not.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. And the paper just jumped to, they accused you right off the bat. They never did make it clear that it was Butch that actually hired this guy. And after I made a few phone calls, so that finally some editorials came out that said that Butch is the one that hired him. I'm very resentful of the fact that they didn't bring that out at the beginning, and then the letters from citizens were so frightening as far as what they were demanding of you.
I appreciate that, but I definitely want to make one thing clear. I didn't hire 95% of the people at this agency. That can't be an excuse for me to divert responsibility on anything that they do. I'm the chief of police, and I'm responsible for anything and everything that goes on in my department. That's the bottom line. Now, with that said, responsibility is not the exact same word as resignation. I made a commitment to be the chief of police here, to make sure that we're running the best police department that we can run. Just like I wouldn't cancel coffee with the chief, I don't plan on bailing out on the community the first time things get tough. I mean, that's just
if an officer, because I do notice you do have an ad up on Facebook about hiring, if an officer was to apply and in his past he had left during, resigned during an internal affairs investigation, would you be willing to change your policy to say that we won't hire people that resign in the middle of the internal affairs investigation?
It's a great question. We talked about the fact that many policies were changed. One of the, or two of the policies that I didn't tell you about changes, we have tweaked our hiring criteria. We have two policies. One is applicant backgrounds and how those are done, as well as we have a selection policy. Both of them are accreditation standard type policies. And we have included some more language in there that makes it a little more strict. Some of them are IA-based restrictions now, moving forward, to make sure that we're bringing in the best possible folks that we can. Myself and our current command staff made those choices, or criteria, I don't know how long ago, it was a week ago maybe. So as we're moving along through this process, there's a whole host of changes that are taking place, improvements, I guess if you will. Like I said, we're not just sitting around waiting for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement or someone else to tell us how they think we should do business. You have some very capable and competent folks here that know how to run a police department, and we're making those improvements as we see we can. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, Chief, I had a question about pre-incident procedures. I'm a little confused on which investigation is reviewing policies, procedures, training, weapons and ammo storage, safety briefs, etc., that may have contributed to this incident.
No problem. Right now, I said, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is solely focused on a criminal investigation. They will not be focused on any type of internal policies, procedures, and things of that nature. That is going to be done by the internal affairs team. So it's going to be Lieutenant Cochran and the two folks that I mentioned, our labor attorney and retired Chief Arnold Gibbs. So they'll be doing that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that I'm new to the area, but I was extremely proud of the fact when I read in the paper that you would not resign, because it takes a true leader to want to see this through. And nobody knows their men better than you do right now, so you can have two competing personalities, but you would know which one would do the better job. A new person coming in would have that. So on behalf of my 6 grandsons, I'm quite pleased that you're staying on.
Yes.
Regarding the public records laws in your Facebook page, you guys have pretty much wiped clean your Facebook page of all comments.
Yes. I can address that.
That's
As you guys know, we have a department Facebook page. I started it after Chief Arnell retired. Again, great way to share information almost instantaneously. One of the changes that you may have noticed is pretty much the public no longer has the ability to comment. You can still message us and get specific information if you want to. The reasons are absolutely, without question, has nothing to do with transparency, has nothing to do with the fact that we don't want negative comments or anything else. There's certainly a tremendous number of ways to communicate with us. The Facebook page specifically was done, these changes were made because we were getting public records requests through our Facebook page. And when you started to talk about the thousands of messages back and forth, we did not want to miss the opportunity to actually fulfill a public records request because it was buried within a very much longer profane diatribe about how people felt that we should operate our police department. So because we didn't want to violate public records laws, we put some restrictions on our Facebook page, and now it is essentially one-way communication. If we want to communicate with the public, we have that ability to do so. One other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't, Katie would be upset if I didn't. In an effort to make sure that we are being as transparent as possible, a lot of times you'll pick up the newspaper or you'll watch the evening news and you get a snippet or you get one piece of information. And a lot of times it's taken out of context. So what we have done is we've created a separate web page on our city's website under the police department tab where we have put everything that we can share to date as one resource. All of our media releases, all of our public statements, any documents that we can share with the public, we have uploaded them into that website, and as more things become available and more information that we can share, we're again going to upload it into that one-stop shop resource so that anybody in the public can get the full picture as opposed to a piece here and a piece there. Did that answer your question about Facebook?
Actually, the removal of all the comments is a violation.
Oh, I'm sorry. There are some folks in our community and even, quite frankly, across the country that are concerned that we're destroying public records because...
there is actually an attorney general opinion about
Give me
it.
1 second. There are some people that are concerned that we're destroying public record because we have deleted all the Facebook comments that have currently existed. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We have what we call a social archiving system throughout the city. The moment something is placed on Facebook, sent to us, pictures, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what the content is. It instantly gets saved through a social archiving system that you guys don't see visually on the website. So if anybody asks for a public record, all of those, regardless of whether you can see them or not, are 100% saved, and we are more than happy to share them through a public records request. No problem whatsoever.
That answers it perfectly.
Two final questions.
Yes, sir.
First question is, how does removing public comment on your Facebook page, how is that consistent with being transparent? You're squelching the voice of the people. What are you afraid of to allow the public to comment on your Facebook page? Why would you do that? That's totally hostile to we the people, because you work for us.
Not all we the people, only you maybe.
Well, here's what I would say. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Can you repeat the question again?
I thought it was quite simple.
Oh, stop being sarcastic.
If they weren't that transparent, why would you silence the voice of commenting on your Facebook page?
I just told you, some of those were intermingled with public records requests that we were afraid we might not be able to actually see or head to because of the large quantity.
All you have to do is tell people to email a public records request. You don't have to silence the voice of the people to maintain your link to FOIA requests. That's absurd. Second question and final question. This room is filled with over 83 people. Do you know what the occupancy limit is? Because
Why don't you
are you honoring safety?
Can I say something? Can I just say something? As a person that was in the room that night, I'm saying this from my heart. Your Facebook page pissed me off to no end of stupid people putting remarks on it that were not even from here, writing things that they didn't even know nothing about, and stupid stuff. And I'm with you 100% in taking all that stuff away.
And making judgments.
And the newspaper was the #1 violator.
Yes.
Having half-truths, no truths, and their opinions.
I agree.
I, for one, was very glad to see that some of the most disgusting things I have ever seen online for the world to see in print were taken down. This is not who Punta Gorda is. And there were people making judgment calls. There were people saying, do this, do that, do the other thing. And I'm like, you know nothing about us. This is not Punta Gorda.
And they don't know the situation. They weren't here that night. And you can form your own opinion by laws that you know. But if you were here and you saw what happened, you'd have a totally different opinion.
That's right.
automatically removed, that you guys didn't see the most profane ones. We had some legitimate filters, prior to that were specific to profanity and such things, but there were many death threats that got.
Yes.
That were, again, that is not what the Facebook page was meant to be. This is meant to be a communication forum. Certainly if people had comments on things, that's great. But again, considering they were intermingled with public records requests, we just didn't have the staff to sit down and go through and read every word to make sure that we were complying with public records laws. So it was much easier to turn that off and allow people with legitimate public records requests that they could communicate that through, like I said, a host of other means.
And they still had other ways to contact you to share their opinion if they wanted.
Absolutely. You can still message us through Facebook. You can certainly email us directly. We have links on our website if you want to just make comments. The city's website, we certainly have our phone numbers that are online, and I will tell you, many people have availed themselves to that. So there's like I said, you can walk into the lobby. You can show up to coffee with the chief. I mean, you can do whatever, there's so many ways to communicate with us. Considering Facebook was not able to handle the public records request due to the volume we turned out.
Speaking on that as well, and you said from the kids of this, I heard so many kids talk about the negativity stuff that was on that Facebook page, and thank God that they know they chief and his staff better than that.
Amen.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I will tell you that, that was another discussion. The kids, and considering our audience is from all age groups, some of the things on Facebook were just straight up inappropriate.
I think the majority of us felt relieved that the Facebook page was taken down, certainly not squelched.
I appreciate that. Does anybody else have? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Wendy. I'm with Veteran Defensive Systems. The event that happened was terribly tragic. I think the most important thing is to move on and create reform like what you're discussing, so we can make sure this event never happens again. We appreciate what you're doing. We create products to preserve life and de-escalate violence. So at some point, we'll be happy to talk to you about that.
I appreciate that.
And we hope that everyone moves onward and upward and nothing like this ever happens again.
I'm just hoping that the remainder of our congressmen do not have the prejudgment and attitude that this young man has.
Can't fix stupid.
Any other questions? I really want to thank all you guys for coming. I think it's important that we just continue to communicate. I really do.
We have the bikes out. I don't know if you want to touch on it.
Oh, that's okay. You guys all got blue tickets.